us, and welcome everyone to the New York City Coalition for Educating Families Together roundtable with Senator Gustavo Rivera. And to start us off, Crystal Wackington will give our opening statement. Thank you, Crystal.
Hi, good evening now, Senator Rivera. I want to thank you for coming out to sit with us again at this roundtable. I know your time is
We're
precious.
staying in as staying in because I'm like not going. I'm here, so here side.
I appreciate your time. I know it's valuable. I don't want to take up too much. So I just wanted to lay like a foundation of what we're attempting to establish here, right? As we continue to develop this partnership between you and the parents and the educational system. I know that it's been said recently that there are a lot of resources that will need to go into, furthering our cause, furthering your cause, coming together under one umbrella to support our children. And so I think what they're going to outline today is sort of our request on how much of the resources that we need are going to come from you. So with that, I will transfer over to Aurora, who will do the next phase of this presentation. Once again, thank you for coming out.
Yeah, Aurora,
you're muted.
Sorry about that. Good evening, Senator Rivera.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us and listening to us voice our concerns. I'm going to do your bio. State Senator Gustavo Rivera has represented the 33rd Senate District in the Bronx since November of 2010. The 33rd Senate District includes the neighborhoods of Kingsbridge Heights, East Tremont, Crotona Park, Fordham, Mount Hope, Belmont, Van Ness, Claremont, and Morris Park. Since taking office, Senator Rivera has focused his efforts on addressing issues of health inequity, both legislatively and on the ground. In 2011, Senator Rivera launched the Bronx Can, Changing Attitudes Now Health Initiative. The goal of this community-oriented health initiative is not only to encourage Bronx residents to develop healthy behavior, but to shape policies that will help tear down some of the institutional barriers that stand in the way of Bronxites having a healthier lifestyle. In 2018, his passion to improve the health of New Yorkers led Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins to appoint Senator Rivera as the chair of New York State Senate Health Committee. As the chair, Senator Rivera's goal is to collaborate with his colleagues, stakeholders, and constituents to improve health outcomes, increase access to coverage, and ensure a financially viable system for the 20 million New Yorkers he proudly serves. Prior to his appointment to chair, Senator Rivera served as the ranking member of the Senate Health Committee for 6 years. As the sitting member of the committee, Senator Rivera passed 3 laws to ban smoking around schools, after schools, and libraries, and has been a champion of public health and harm reduction policies. In March 2017, he became a main sponsor of the New York Health Act, an initiative bill to create a single-payer health system in New York State. Previously, Senator Rivera.
May I interrupt? May I interrupt? Because it is a long. Because I'm just. May I actually include maybe, because this is from the about page in my website, which you can all read certainly. It's just it's like long and it's got like 5 more paragraphs, which are probably unnecessary because I'd rather hear you folks. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I can actually do the following. Look at this. I can put the link in that one. There's like 5 more paragraphs. So they're like, I'm happy I've done stuff, but I would rather listen to you.
Thank you, Senator Rivera. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I hope that wasn't too rude, Ms. Rhonda.
No, you weren't rude. You
Okay.
were removed because the parents do have a lot of concerns.
Yeah.
And we've been fighting for a while now for people to listen to us and get us the help we need so we can get this remote option in place and handle a lot more stuff. Because there are a lot of concerns and we are being lied to and so forth, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
But I thank you.
Yes. So I'm gonna, pass it back to, is there somebody else? Oh, the moderator.
Farrah, who's next?
Yeah, thank you so much. So actually, Senator, thank you. I'm pretty sure Aurora was going to cut that short, but
we didn't know, and there was a lot.
Right, I know.
It's a long one, yo.
Yeah, I'm sure because she knew she had to cut it short. We talked about that. But having said that, it is now your turn for an opening statement and to tell us whatever you want to tell us before we start the conversation.
Gotcha. So I'll be quick because, as I said, I want to listen to all of you. Good evening. Again, my name is Gustavo Rivera, State Senator for the 33rd District in the Bronx. All the neighborhoods that the lady mentioned. If you live in the Northwest Bronx, I work for you. Chair of the Health Committee in the Senate. I have been in the Senate for a long time, 11 friggin' years. So anyway, there's a couple of quick things. I want to thank you all for actually inviting me to be here with you this evening. I know we have talked before, so I'll just outline a couple of things up front. I believe I agree with you folks that it is of the utmost importance that we provide a safe environment for students and we ensure the best education system possible. And I believe that part of that means that parents should have a remote option, meaning being able to choose remote instruction. Now, certainly, I think that we all can agree that in the best case scenario, learning in person is the best situation for most students, but making sure the parents have that option to actually do it remotely. I think particularly right now when the Delta variant is still spreading and continues to be incredibly dangerous, we want to make sure that we are careful in how we do our reopening. Now, the rates of infection have been going down in the city of New York for the last couple of weeks. And I think that that's a very positive thing. So obviously we're getting some of this right. But I believe that we definitely have to have that remote option available, which is why I actually signed on to Senator John Liu's bill that requires that public schools in New York City provide a remote option when community transmission is above a certain level. And so just, my district in the Northwest Bronx, there haven't been any school closures, thankfully. There have been about 32 schools where one or more classrooms have been closed or partially quarantined, but we have been doing all right. But again, I'm very thankful to all of you. Last thing I'll say actually is that since I've been here for as long as I've been here, 11 friggin' years, I actually can remember when we were fighting to get the Campaign for Fiscal Equity's money. And we finally got a commitment earlier this year in the budget to going forward, we're going to make sure that this money actually flows to schools that need it all across the state, but certainly in the city of New York and certainly right here in the Bronx. So with that, I will just again, thank you for having me here this evening, and I will just listen.
Okay, thank you so much, Senator. So our style has changed a bit tonight in the sense that we're going to be a little bit more freestyle, right? As opposed to,
we're going to be freestyle.
The 2 minutes, the 3 minutes. Yeah, there you go. Let's do it. So you have a list, of the concerns that parents have. And so I think just to sort of put into context what Crystal was trying to say earlier, because her Wi-Fi seemed to have, made her not totally audible to us. So is that we're looking for a real partnership with you. And in terms of how parents can continue to build this movement that we have started in the Bronx in terms of raising our voices and forcing people like yourself, the electeds, and also government agencies like the DOE and ACS to listen to parents. So we are looking for your partnership in terms of building that movement, even though we know you're a politician, but there's nothing wrong with a politician also partnering with grassroots organizations.
The only thing I will correct you on, madam, is that I do not consider myself a politician. I consider myself a public servant. The reason I make that distinction is the guy that was here before me, and again, many years ago, and the guy that I defeated 11 years ago, then served 6 years in federal prison for stealing money from, he's stealing public money. That guy was a politician. I'd like to think of myself as a public servant, but that's the only distinction I'll make there.
Even better. So we love it. So at this point, I will just, guys, the floor is yours, and please raise your hand and I will call on you and you may address the senator. Anyone wants to go first? The senator is only here for about 30 more minutes, so we gotta go. We gotta be quick. Okay, so
Hello.
Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
Hi, Senator Rivera. Sorry,
Hello, Scott.
Good to see you again. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. I just wanted to, and I'm not sure how we do this or how we go about this, but there's a chancellor's regulation at the New York State level. That is why the DOE is allowed to only offer my son 1 hour of instruction per day in medically necessary instruction. And I don't know how we go about changing that. I don't know if that's, but I would love to talk about the fact that the DOE is able to get away with just giving medically fragile students who cannot physically be in school right now only 1 hour instruction per day.
So this is what I would want to do, because this is obviously a far more technical, as I think I might have told you before, right? Since I'm the chair of the health committee, there's a lot of education policy that I am not as familiar with, but what I can tell you is that we should actually connect at a time when I can actually have my policy folks be part of the conversation so we can discuss it deeply, because then what I will do is, because at least certainly as you describe it, just on the face of it, it does not seem to be a very common sense approach to that issue. So what I would want to do is actually discuss it further with you, get all the details of it, and then possibly follow up with my colleagues who are both the chair of education at the state level and the chair of education in the city, which is both Shelley Mayer and Senator John Liu, who I believe you've had a conversation with already. So I would want to actually get a deeper understanding of the issue and then do a follow-up with my colleagues and see if I can get to the bottom of it. But it's if you would, do you have a way to contact us? Carlos, if you could put the I'm going to have one of my staffers who's here right now. His name is Carlos Munoz. Or you can see him. He's right there on the screen. He just looks like he's gaming, but he's actually paying attention. So the gentleman's going to put the number for our office, because what I want to do is I would want to follow up with you so that I can have my policy folks be part of the conversation. I know that Carlos is taking notes, but I want to make sure that we can actually get to the depth, in depth into the issue. And then I will make sure to potentially follow up with the rest of you, but certainly follow up directly with you. Is that all right?
Yep, that's perfectly great. I just wanted to bring it to your attention as
Yes,
well, because I didn't know if it was on your radar. But yes, I did talk in depth at the Senate hearing on Wednesday with Senator Mayer.
Oh yes, because there was I know that there was a hearing on Wednesday. I was not able to see it, so in other words, I might just have to go to the recording so that I can get the explanation from you. But hopefully,
I'll share it with Carlos. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you, Ms. Goddard.
Thank you.
And to be clear, Senator, what Jennifer was referring to is the fact that it has come to our attention that as parents, we may be able to put, I guess, as in a referendum, right, where we can put something on the ballot and have the people vote directly on it so that it will be considered by the legislature as a law of some sort. So we are very curious on how to go about getting consensus from our parents, which obviously this home instruction, which is only 1 hour per day, 5 days a week, is something that is really getting under the skin of our parents. And being that no legislation is happening on that front yet, and the DOE doesn't seem to understand that they actually can do more than the minimum. So we parents are wondering, how can we get something like that on the ballot for the voters to vote on it and be considered, by the legislature?
So unless the way that things are on the ballot, at least in the state of New York, the only way that things are on the ballot are actually if they require it, that is for constitutional change. So what you're referring to, at least as far as I know, and this is again where I would once again clarify that education policy is particularly at that deep a level is not my forte. I would gather I would gather that it is not something that is constitutionally established, but it is something that is established by statute. So if it is constitutional, the way it works in the state of New York, if you want to change the state constitution, you pass a change you pass the change in the state constitution in 2 consecutive sessions, and legislative sessions are 2 years. So every time that we go up for re-election, we have the next year is a new session. So right now, for example, this year is the same session, is the one session that will go on to next year. And then from 2023 is the next session. So to change the Constitution, we would pass a bill now, then pass a bill in 2023, and then it would go and be on the ballot. So that's what is something on the ballot just refers to changing the Constitution. So that's for a constitutional amendment. Outside of, I think that what you're referring to is something that would be either statutory, in other words, changing the law, or something that is done by administrative changes. So there are some changes that can happen administratively, which is you just convincing the agency, in this case, I figure the Department of Education or the Board of Education at the state level, again, because I'd have to figure out exactly where this policy is established. I will trust that you're saying that is a state policy and not a city policy. Then it has to be changed at the state level, but it has to be changed then by statute, meaning a law that we pass, or convincing the state agency to change the policy by an administrative action. But putting it on the ballot is, unless it's a constitutional change, that's just not the way that New York functions.
Thank you so much for that, Senator, and that's why you are here, to educate us and educate parents, the grassroots.
Certainly try.
Yes, so we can know what to do. So thank you, Jennifer, for that question for the Senator. Anybody else?
You got 2
on a different topic
on the list there. You got Renita Kishan. I'm certain I'm mispronouncing the name, and I apologize if that's the case. But I'm not sure if Renita can actually speak.
No, they can. I can allow them to.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, Renita, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. Actually, I didn't want to ask. Well, I do want to make a request for option being a permanent option, only because my daughter, she's 10 years old. She was born with, so it's been 10 years. Severe food allergies, environmental allergies, animal allergies, amongst other things. I do have a hard time feeding her stuff because she's allergic to so many things. But since we had remote learning last year, she's had 100% attendance, because normally from pre-K to, 4th grade, to 3rd grade when we shut down, she was having up to 20 days absent, only because she would still be sick and I have to send her to school, because if I don't, 20 days, I think, were the max, or else she'll be left back. So remote learning for her, for me, was perfect. We take public transportation to go to school. By the time she gets to school, she's a mess. She's a hot mess. Being at home, she was beautiful, awesome. Environmental allergies were almost non-existent. And I say almost because when I open a window, she dies. So with that, I think remote learning option should be permanent, along with homeschooling and home instruction. I just don't understand why that's not being an option at all for whomever wants it, whether it be medically, whether it be kids having social anxiety or being bullied, or for whatever reason. Homeschooling and home instruction, why can't we just add that on to that? So whomever needs it, I let it be permanent. And
so first,
I did sign up for home instruction, and I just got back a response probably 2 days ago that they were going to send it off to be reviewed. Now, I don't know if she'll be approved or not, because obviously her issues are not on that list. So I don't know if it's going to be important enough or, you know, whatever, for them to approve her for that. And I have been speaking to her principal and working with her teacher and her school. Beautiful people. I have to give them credit. Beautiful. They've been helping us out. They know her. They know my daughter very, very well. They know exactly what she suffers from. They know exactly everything. She's had a para when she would be in school. So they know her. They, hands down. They've been helping her out. We've been doing Google Meet classes and she's been getting her work done. She's been doing the live stream with her classes and stuff like that. Her teachers are making sure that she's okay and getting all the work, and you know, just beautiful, beautiful. So there's nothing about her school that negative that I would have to say. I just want to know why remote option can't be a permanent option, not for everyone, but just anyone who would need it. I just, you know, the mayor keeps saying, oh, well, everybody does better when they're in person, but you can't speak for everybody. Like I said, you have kids who are being bullied and they just don't want to be there. They, you know, they prefer the being at home and still getting their education. My daughter, she'll be okay being at home. So I'm sorry, but yes, that's what I just wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Renita.
So I would say, that first, I would ask her whether that school is in the Bronx or not. But regardless, this is another one which it is.
Yes.
Okay.
District 28.
Okay. So this is what I would ask is, I'm not sure if are you on a computer right now? Can
yes,
you see?
I am.
Okay. So did you see the number that my staff put on the chat earlier?
Yes.
Okay, because this is obviously another thing that I'd want to look further and deeper into. And right now I'm not that familiar with how exactly it works in that type of situation. It is my sense that there are probably conditions that it probably is very similar to I figured that maybe it's similar to the situation that Ms. Goddard was describing. And if that's the case, then the same thing applies. I do not know enough about both the situation as well as how the law is structured regarding this particular issue to be able to give you a particular response right now. But I certainly would want to look into it. And as you said, I mean, I'm certainly the situation that you're describing, I certainly feel for you. It's I can't even imagine what it would be like, considering, you know, as you said, that when she doesn't have to, then when your daughter doesn't have to, you know, is at home, then she's obviously much more productive. It's much more productive for you as well, because you don't have to deal with all the situations that she finds when she's allergic to all these things. I mean, it's just that's a terrible situation. I would hope that I hope that there's ways that we can be of assistance in your particular case. So please call the office that's there, and call the office number that I put on the chat a little bit earlier, so that we can actually get deeper into it.
Thank you so much, Renita, and thank you, Senator, for answering that question. Before we go back to the audience, is there anyone in the panel right now who has a question for the Senator?
I want to actually just one thing. So Stephanie Jones, because there's a Q&A feature, and she says, we appreciate you joining Senator Liu's bill for remote, but the state Senate doesn't reconvene until January for a vote. Is that accurate? If so, what is the time limit for a state law introduced for remote? So as far as you are correct that technically we do not go back to Albany for session until January. That does not mean that we cannot go back. For example, maybe I'm going to say a month ago, maybe it was a little bit more than that. We did go back for a special session. Well, actually, right after Cuomo went away, which, by the way, one of the happiest days of my life. I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to put that out there. Anyway, when he did, we actually had a special session that Governor Hochul called to deal with a couple of issues that were outstanding. And so we did go back. Technically, there is no session until January, but there are possibilities that we might be called back before then. I don't think that that's the case. But it is something that the majority leader, the speaker, or the governor can do. The governor can call for special session, or the majority leader or the speaker can call their particular houses back for a special session. It is unlikely. You are correct in that, Ms. Jones. It is more than likely that such a bill will not be voted on until January. That being said, as I described earlier, there are different things between something being statutory and something being done via administrative change. So a lot of the pressure that you folks have been successful in kind of raising the volume on this and raising the heat on this, and the way that many of us have actually spoken about it, the goal is to actually get a change to happen administratively. The bill would establish it as a standard across the board, but administratively, this could actually be done before then, which is kind of what we're trying to achieve right now. And then she says, she goes on to say, if so, what can be done in the interim to reinstate a remote option if the state Senate option is months away, especially since City Council Director of Education Committee, Mark Traeger, just yesterday met with the DOE and concluded that the trust between the DOE and the community has been eroded. I would say to continue the pressure. If it's something that they can do administratively, and we believe that they can, then we should try to continue to push them to see if they can do it administratively, because a statutory solution at the state level, as Ms. Jones pointed out, would be at the earliest months away. I'm sorry, I don't have better news for you, Ms. Jones. Back to you, Madam Moderator. I'm
yes,
sorry.
Thank you, because I think she's muted. But Alicia has a question for you from our panel. Alicia, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Senator Rivera, for joining us. I just want to make you aware that there are some parents that have chosen to keep their children home since the beginning of the school year because there isn't a remote option available, and for health and safety reasons, obviously. So now, as we're coming on almost 4 weeks of school, a lot of a lot of school staff have been threatening parents with ACS. Are you aware of this? That they are starting to open ACS cases against parents that are keeping their children home for safety reasons and for health reasons?
It was actually, this was when I read the briefing a little bit earlier to as far for this meeting, I saw that was one of the things that was in the briefing that was prepared for me. So obviously you shared it with my staff and they in turn shared it with me. I would repeat what I said a little earlier as far as that number that is a little bit further up on the chat for you to call us so that we can actually look further into the situation. It should not be, I believe that would be, that is an overstep. I mean, there's obviously situations in which the involvement of that agency is warranted. But in this case, certainly I would agree with you that it's not. And so I would want to look further into your particular case. So please give us a call. The number's a little bit further up.
Okay, because it's been recently told that I have been threatened with ACS, but even though I have an open line of communication with both my children's school, they know why they're home. I'm asking for work to be provided. Even though they're no longer providing work for my children, I still give my children work at home 6 hours a day. So it is, and they're aware that it's not educational neglect. They know it's for health reasons. I do not want my children getting sick. Both schools have had cases very recently having to shut down classrooms. So you understand why I don't want to put my children in that situation and then have them potentially bring home Delta to me. I have a heart condition. It could be deadly for me, even though I'm fully vaccinated.
It's the reason why having the remote option is necessary, so that situations like this can be averted. But I would want to look further into your case so please reach out to my office so that we can have the conversation. Is that all right?
Yes, I have the number and I will call you tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alicia. And Amy is next. Go ahead, Amy.
Good evening, Senator
Hello,
Rivera. You recall at Williamsburg Oval, that's where I reside. So I want to kind of touch on special education and our District 75 community. It's been hit hard during this pandemic. As you saw last year, we had to really enforce UFT to speak with the city about trying to get some of our students who didn't benefit remote learning into in-person building. But for those students that did really benefit from remote learning and excelled, really wanted to have remote option just to keep our kids safe and learning, and also to eliminate some of that stress that happens throughout the school year, especially students that ride a school bus. As you know, 150,000 of our students in the temporary housing, foster care system, District 75, and IEP students, and students that don't reside in the school in their neighborhood have to travel to have access to education. And, it's just devastating that, it's a crisis that we deal with every single year prior to the pandemic, but also what this year has caused, as you saw, we have a shortage of drivers and matrons and paraprofessionals. We have, again, a shortage of school staff, from school aides, paraprofessionals, crisis paraprofessionals, nurses in our District 75 buildings, hard hit in the Bronx specifically. And one after another is a crisis, and how we're going to get out of this, especially for our most vulnerable students. Right now, we only have about 75% in attendance in District 75. We have in the 80s, almost 90s in our special education gen ed classes. So, just listening to all of these protocols that was not set in plans is failing our kids, from, the adequate of, overcrowded buildings. I live in District 10, the largest school district in the Bronx, that has over 62 schools from pre-K to to 8th grade. So it is definitely a concern for our special needs community, but I also want to raise that currently there is a town hall for Truman High School. I have a 9th grader that just started there this school year. As you know, there has been some crazy stuff happening in the last 4 weeks. And we have a District 75, we actually have 2 District 75 schools in that campus, multiple sites. And it's very concerning that, there's so much violence and crime happening in our streets, but also right outside of our school buildings. And within that campus, there's multiple schools, and it having to happen right outside after dismissal, it's terrifying. That's the reason why us parents in the Bronx still don't want to bring our kids back to school, because there's so many happening. There's so many layers of reasons that our health and our safety is being impacted, and it's not addressed. And we know that, mayor control is definitely should be off the table this upcoming June 2022, because this is not working for families. This is not working for our educators, because right now they're not educating our kids. They're literally test tracing monitors for making sure where kids are at in the school buildings, where are they in the classrooms and the cafeterias, and yet they're not learning. And we have a shortage. So this is really pressing for us as, advocates, as well as parents and leaders. And I just wanted to say thank you for raising this to Senator Liu and all of the other colleagues, because this is devastating, like one top of another. As I said, we need to recover, and we need to recover faster. So I ask you to push for remote learning for our students so that they can continue learning safely at home. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. It's the reason why I've advocated for it before, and why I signed on to Senator Liu's bill. So thank you for sharing all of that with me, Ms. Tsai.
Thank you.
I have 5 kids, so thank you.
You have what?
I have 5.
Jesus Christ, I don't have that many shoes. That's I mean, God bless you. That's a lot. Anyway, yes, go on. I do have more than, I think I have about 5 pairs of shoes. That's basically, I have like a couple of dress shoes, a couple of sneakers, boots. That's basically it. Anyway.
Well, we are happy to get to know you on that level, Senator. So Thelma, I'm wondering if you have anything to say to the Senator? Go ahead, Thelma.
Good evening, everyone. Senator.
Hello, ma'am.
I was sitting here just listening, and I was just telling my husband, like, I'm just sitting here just getting more and more disgusted at the entire situation. I appreciate you jumping on the bill for the remote option. completely agree that it is necessary for us to have the option. Even with that option being there, one of the things that I feel like is not being addressed is even in considering the option is the mental health, the well-being of our children, especially coming off of the pandemic. I am a mother of 7. I am wheelchair bound. I have lupus and RA. I have a 14-year-old who, in lieu of returning to school, as well as graduating junior high school and starting high school for the first time and coming off of the pandemic and being home in junior high school, now having to travel to go to high school, her first year. And it became so much for her that she wanted to end her life. And in addition to that, we take her to be evaluated because of this, finding out that one of her fears for returning to school became very real because she now has COVID. So with that being said, any services, any reaching out for mental health or even for her COVID status, her attendance being properly set because she now has COVID and can't attend school, or that, you know, her quarantine has ended, but yet she's still ill and not getting any help. These things are not being addressed, but yet I'm going into meeting after meeting and speaking to people, and it just feels like I'm banging my head up against a wall. I'm getting numbers, and it's like, in my child, she's a part of this process, and she's sitting here and she's watching these things happen. And for her, her response is, your life has no value. And you wonder why I don't want to be here. Yet, we get no service. We get no help. No one is actually reaching out. And is the value of one life any less than the value of any others? These things are real. These things are happening. And I'm a parent in Brooklyn. I'm in East New York. Thank you for your time and listening.
Thank you, Thelma, for that. And I want you to know that Thelma's story is not just a story happening in Brooklyn, but that's happening all over the Bronx, all over the Queens, all over the city, and may I say, all over the country. And for us at New York City CEFT, it is so important to hear the voices of the people who are not usually heard, and for the powers that be to see the people who are usually not seen. And that is tremendously important to us. And we want to know how you can help give a voice to the voiceless and to help us see the ones that we don't see and pay attention to every day.
I'll just say that thank you for sharing all of that with us, Ms. Ojeda. And I know it can't be easy to go through that. And it certainly can't be easy to share it. Well, I can tell you that I will certainly, whether you're in Brooklyn or as you said, DePayne, is that the way that you pronounce your last name?
Yeah, if you open to try to follow the French pronunciation, yes, but I do Despain because that's what my dad did, and there's a whole controversy in the family. So go ahead, Despain is fine. So
Mr. Spain, that, as Mr. Spain said, is something that is not just happening in Brooklyn, but is happening in a lot of other places, certainly happening in the Bronx as well. It is, I am, you know, it's unfortunate that there's certain things that can't happen quickly, that can't happen more quickly. There are certain things that have to be done by certain agencies that, that some of us do not control. I'm not the mayor. I do not control the Department of Education or the Board of Education. Therefore, there's things that I certainly can advocate for, and you have my commitment that I will continue to do so on behalf of all of you, and certainly my constituency that is going through this. It is unfortunately can't happen more quickly. And what I can tell you is that I will always be accessible to you, and I will speak on your behalf when needed, and join my voices to others who are trying to make these changes happen. And I apologize to you, Ms. Ojeda, that things can't happen more quickly. And it would be I wish that I could actually make it so, but me by myself, I cannot. But it is these voices kind of raising that. The reason that is being even discussed is precisely because you folks organized and you folks escalated. I would suggest that you continue to do that. And I would also suggest that as you hopefully are successful in achieving this, that you do not lose the energy and you continue to organize and you continue to push government to be responsive. It is sometimes designed to be a frustrating, a frustrating process, but it is necessary. It is precisely why your voices are so essential. Because if you don't, then the people that don't care, I mean, whether you're convinced or not that I do care, I can tell you that I do, and I hope that my actions have proven it through my work in the last 11 years and that they will continue to do so. But I can certainly tell you that there's many people in federal and state and the city government that don't particularly care. And sometimes the system is made in a way that kind of makes it so that they can ignore the plight of people. This is why organizing is so important around the things that you care about. So I would encourage you to continue to do so, and I will always be here to listen. And I'm hoping that we can get a success on this one. So I actually have to roll. That was the alarm that just went off, but I couldn't go without again saying thank you for inviting me, and thank you for sharing these situations. Certainly was not easy, I'm sure, to go through them, and certainly not easy to share them. So thank you for doing that. And I'm hoping that we will be successful on this. And I do recognize that, Davida, and it's why I'm supportive of it, and hopefully we can achieve it.
Thank you so much, Senator Rivera, for joining us. I know you have to go. You said that before, and I know you wanted to spend more time with us. So, and I must say to our audience that you may not know this, but actually Senator Rivera came on a roundtable with us before that wasn't live streamed, but he's been a true partner to us. So thank you so much. And that is the reason we wanted to live stream this particular roundtable. And we will continue with your staff while you go on to your other meeting. Thank you so much.
All right, folks, have a very good one. Be well.
Be well. Thank you. Okay, so as the senator signs off, we have about 10 more minutes. Anybody else would like to speak or say something, because, we're going rogue today. We're trying something new. Not so rogue, but where you get to speak up as opposed to, being so regimented. Norma, would you like to say something?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Senator, for listening to us. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even have words. I just leave it to that. Thank you for coming and inviting me. And hopefully everything will get better sooner than later.
Okay, thank you for that, Norma. Anybody else on the panel who would like to say something, or somebody from the attendees list who would like to say something?
Hey, Farah, this is Crystal again. So I know the senator is left, but thank you, Carlos, for staying on with us. I just wanted to sort of touch base on what I've been noticing at the schools. You know, violence is not the only sort of outcome of COVID and us trying to maintain a normal lifestyle. There are also a lot of kids who are hurting and unable to express whatever kind of emotion they're going to, especially the younger ones. A couple of the the principals I spoke to mentioned that there needs to be some more mental health options offered through the school to the students, to the parents, to the teachers, to the principals themselves. Everybody's going in. There's burnout from teachers who are trying to work double time to get the kids back on track. And I know that as a part of the stimulus package bill that came out, there was funds for it. I just wanted to know if the senator would have a moment to maybe look in to see how those activities are coming to pass, and how that money is being spent, and are they actually investing into the mental wellness of the children that are in this education system? Because I've heard some really sad stories about that too. I'm speak on them here, but I know there is definitely a need for that. So if you could pass that message along, Carlos, that would be great.
Yeah, I definitely will. Yeah, so as a chair of the health committee, he's committed to mental health and mental health wing, especially in the Bronx. But yeah, you were talking about the foundational funding that Senator Liu had a hearing on a few days ago. So I don't know if you joined that hearing, but yeah, a lot of parents expressed the same concern about the DOE having spending that money to benefit the students. So yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that to see how the money is being spent. It hasn't been spent yet, but it's a year-long, years process that's gonna happen. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that and make sure that that is well spent.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Crystal. And Carlos, if I may add, because I think when we are talking about the Bronx specifically, but underserved communities, we are really looking not just for a deep oversight of the Department of Education, but really setting up a system of education that is responsive to our children's needs, right? And I know that from speaking to a lot of parents, one of the things that we are really concerned about, besides addressing the mental health of kids, is that the Bronx being, the unhealthiest, right, borough in the city, we would really like to see a curriculum that addresses health, right? And to that extent, or to that point, the executive superintendent of the Bronx has this program named FISH, right? Which is food innovation sustaining health, right? And the idea is to be able to teach kids about nutrition, about gardening, and urban farms, and about advocacy, and even entrepreneurship. And all these things, not only just in the schools, but it's extending into the community. And we would really love to have the senator as a partner on that, and see some of the money that, especially in terms of discretionary funds that he may have, that to come and support that initiative. And on top of that, in the Bronx, I know that our parents really want to see more vocational, technical, and career schools in the Bronx, so that they, in order to alleviate poverty, so that when the kids graduate or are about to graduate, that they already have a skill. So we would really love to see the senator work on bills to support stuff like that, or just helping to create more schools along those lines, because we know Mark Traeger spends a lot of money in Brooklyn on those kinds of initiatives. So having said that, because I'm way over my time, I think there was one person in the audience, Michelle Portia, I think, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing your name right, that wanted to, that at one point had her hand up.
Michelle, you can speak now if you're ready.
As we wait.
Yeah, Michelle, you can speak now if you're ready.
It's connecting, it says.
Okay.
But Carlos, while we wait, you can tell us maybe some of the how does, some of the thoughts that you think the senator might have concerning new educational initiatives for underserved communities.
Yeah, you're talking about the FISH program, right? I'm not that familiar with it, but you said it's about nutrition and gardening. Actually, the center supports a program in one of the schools of his district. It's called the Bronx Green Machine. I don't know if you heard of it. It's from one of his teachers in that school, Stephen Ritz, who kind of does something similar where it's like gardening tools and using gardening as a way to teach students on nutrition, student building skills, education, and actually they help support, give out food from the food that they garden to the community, and the students were part of that. So the center is really supportive of that type of initiative. So I'm pretty sure he is supportive of that initiative. I'm not sure in terms of discretionary fundings what we can do. I would have to ask legislative staff and legislative director on what exactly we can use the discretionary funds, but I'm pretty sure the center would be supportive of those type of initiatives.
Yes, thank you. But I also want to say that not just in terms of a few kids, right? But something that is happening across the board in all schools, so that all children benefit from. Because I think the failure of a lot of school initiatives is that it's only touching upon just a few kids. But Portia, please go ahead. Are you there, Michelle? I'm sorry, I apologize. Yes.
I couldn't figure out how to unmute. Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, everybody. So my issue, I have kind of two things. So one thing is definitely the violence. In less than a month, there were 7 altercations and physical fights at our school. So how does that look? Like, how are those things supposed to be addressed and reported? Like, just so parents are understanding, what the disciplinary codes are, I don't know, like, it just feels like 7 fights is way too many. I don't even know what 6th graders are so mad about, and I just feel like that's the other ties the other part to the mental health. I don't think they're bad kids. I think that they just don't know how to engage with each other. Everything becomes a big thing as opposed to just being able to hash something out in just a verbal way, like, because I think they've just forgotten how to do these things because they've missed that for so many months. So what do we do with that? Like, if, like, the principal, I don't know, we're gonna have a PTA meeting. I'm sure people are gonna want to talk about it. So how does that conversation start? Do we just bring it to his attention that there's a concern, because there's kids that are actually afraid to go to school,
Yeah, I think it goes back to what Farah was saying about having like a citywide initiative, maybe having more mental health professionals, because I know that some other groups have come to our office to speak about the correlation between mental health professionals and security guards in the schools. They're saying that there's way more security guards than mental health professionals per student. So they're trying to change that up, and which we agree that should be the case.
I mean, that's not in every school, though. There's an inequity there,
Yeah, that's the reason why they reached out to, because they were saying that we overall we need mental health professionals in schools more than they are right now. I think the issue right now with your school would be maybe a communication issue. It's good that you're going to the PTA. Can I ask what school this is?
Oh, I'm actually the sixth grade trustee for MS 101.
MS 101. Is this in the Bronx?
Yes, it is.
Bronx. Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
Well, I have a lot of parents concerned because now, as you know, anytime you're on any board, they want to talk to you because a lot of parents, you know, parents don't want to say anything because then they think that maybe their child will be targeted because their parent has the big mouth or whatever. So they come to me a lot, you know, and because I'm not really afraid to voice things if they need to be said, because if they're not said, then you can't move on from it and you can't find a solution.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll bring it up. Your consider to center and let them know. You said MS 101, right?
yeah, and my other concern is this. I also have a daughter in school in Manhattan, and mental health is really like utmost importance because some kids still cannot go back to school. They're just not mentally prepared to be near people, you know? So I have my daughter's suffering, like really suffering, which takes a toll on the entire family. She's not currently able to walk into the building, and the school that she's in is really helping facilitate anything possible to get her in the building. So, you know, she has an IEP now. Like there's a lot of things that have happened over the course of the summer to get her to successfully transition back to school. And she just isn't there, you know, and obviously there's no remote option. So she's behind in work, which adds to the anxiety, which adds to the fear of being left out of the peer group because now she feels behind, you know. So the mental health portion is definitely, you know, there needs to be guidance for parents on how to manage this crisis because it's not easy to navigate how to help your kid when I don't know what to do with her. You know, she's bigger than me. I can't physically move her body into my car or onto a bus or anywhere if she don't want to go. So, you know, it's not through lack of trying. It's just, you know, escalating every day. And, you know, at some point, you know how the city works, that you get a call because your kid's not in school and they want to know where your kid is. And then different services can come to your house and, you know, it's threatening your whole family. And it's not through lack of trying, you know, but nobody wants it to go to that level either.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And I think it underlines the whole point of the way New York City CEFT thinks, right? Because we are the coalition for educating families together. So whenever there's a problem with a child, it is not enough to just try to address the child. You have to address the whole family because often enough, families, you know, parents don't know how to support. Communities don't know how to support. So when we are talking about reimagining education, education has to be a family and a communal thing. But Carlos, I know you have to go, but Aurora has had her hand. Is it okay if we take her hand up? Is it okay if we take Aurora's question?
Yeah.
Yes, and then Carmen will close us out.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you. So Aurora, you're like literally the last speaker right now.
Thank you, Farah. Carlos, it's not only MS 101, it's all the middle schools in the Bronx next section that there's been altercations, numerous, because it's been rolling out into the streets up on Tremont Avenue, where a bunch of us had to go up there and man the area and talk to the kids and get them to stop fighting. There's numerous videos being posted on Instagram, Snapchat, everywhere where they're beating up kids. It seems to be an ongoing issue with the mental health and the anger that these kids have being back in schools. And, you know, the help is needed, and I believe that if they added in the remote option, it would alleviate a lot of this overcrowding and a lot of the mental issues that are going on because some kids just don't feel safe, and the anger of being forced to go back to school is causing them to react certain ways.
Yeah, yeah. The senator totally agrees with you as well. He wants parents to have that option, and right now there isn't.
It's not saying to make a full remote option, it's just give parents a choice.
Yeah.
So it will alleviate the overcrowding because the schools are overcrowding. They're stopping CEC members from doing walkthroughs. They're claiming they're busy, so we can't do our jobs properly. It's taking us time to get into schools just to do walkthroughs, and they're avoiding certain areas because they don't want us to see the overcrowding in classes and so forth. But the kids, which I work with a lot of kids in the area, I tutor in the library, and like all the kids in the community come to me with issues. They talk to me, and they're complaining about lunch issues, not having nothing to drink when it's their lunch period because it's been given out to prior to if they share a coexisting building and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of issues, and the mayor and the chancellor don't want to hear nothing. They want their babies back in school, but a lot of these kids are coming to me with stories, and they're very unhappy, and they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening,
Yeah,
but
thank you.
I know it's time. It's time to go, and you have a good night. Thank you for joining us tonight.
No,
Thank you
thank
so
you. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you so much, Aurora, for that. But I think it underlines the need to have not only parent voice at the table, but community voice, right? Because there are so many people in the community that know our children better, right? Who know our children better than the DOE as a bureaucracy knows. And if you are not listening to community members and you're not listening to families and you're not even listening to the children, then as the DOE, what are you doing, right? Who are you exactly educating? So I don't know if you want to respond to that, Carlos, before Carmen makes her closing statement.
Yeah, like the senator stated before, yeah, he believes in the parents should have the option. And what Ms. Ferris said is right. The DOE is supposed to serve the students, so the students should have a bigger voice in what education they receive, and their parents as well. And I'll take a note of that concern about the Tremont issue, and I'll run it by the senator. But thank you everyone for sharing your stories and letting us know everything that's going on, because without you guys sharing your stories, we would be lost. We'd be clueless about what's going on. So thank you so much for having this and for sharing your stories.
Thank you so much, Carmen. Please close us out. Thank you, Carlos. Close us out, Carmen. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Carmen Feliciano, a parent of students in elementary and high school. I'd like to thank Mr. Rivera and Carlos for joining and listening to us, to our concerns as parents. It is our desire and vision to work with elected officials to offer remote options to the families who need or want to implement a better remote than last year's. Is our desire and vision to work with elected officials and education stakeholders across the city to reimagine how education is delivered to our children. Reimagine on how the DOE operates so that education in this city is truly inclusive. In this new vision of shared governance, it is crucial that our parents, children, community, and all education stakeholders be at the table of decisions and policy making. It is important that voices of the parents are heard because our children are being forced back into schools with little to no concerns for their safety and structure of the school settings. We know that DOE cannot possibly believe that they are properly educating our children with all challenges we are facing with badly executed reopening that includes shortage of staff, a total disregard for COVID, violence in the schools, and other issues that you heard tonight. Is not the first time that DOE has been completely careless with the education or lives of our children. We want it to be the last time, which is why the DOE must be checked and balanced at every level. DOE must be forced to account and be transparent to everyone, but above all, to parents, the community, and policymakers. We look forward to working with you to enact this vision and dismantle mayoral control through parents and community empowerment, proper use of political authorities. In the case of the remote option, we are counting on you to pursue the governor, to call the state legislature back for special session to pass Senator Liu legislation, or for her to mandate remote option through the executive order, remote option for our students and families. And I'd like to thank you again for supporting Senator Louise from the legislation to give us a remote option. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carmen. Any last words, Carlos?
I just want to thank you again, everyone, for inviting me and for organizing this roundtable.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, especially a great thank you to you, Carlos, and to the senator, and to Rachel, even though she's not here, and the whole team. And thank you to the whole team at New York City CEFT and Bronx CEFT, because we are speaking and we are hopefully beginning something special. So I'll see you guys later, and we'll debrief, right? So good night, everyone.
Good night and thank you.
Good night.
Yes, good night and thank you.